Football Manager is well known for its replayability. You can pretty much choose to go anywhere in the world and take control of all the biggest clubs. However, one of the strongest things with Football Manager for me is the fact that you can make your own databases. You've probably seen quite a few floating around, maybe even some of mine before, but databases just are a fun way to play Football Manager. So, if you've ever wanted to make your own custom league in Football Manager, this is the video for you. I kind of learned how to use the editor just by playing around with it, but I realized there's not really a lot of good tutorials. They might be out there, but I just haven't seen any, so I'm going to make my own. I will go ahead and say there are much better editors of Football Manager databases than me, but I know how to do a basic one, and it works for me. I'm going to go step by step and help you make a league. That's enough rambling, let's get into it. Step 1, know what you want to do. This step does not really involve the editor, but it is extremely important. You need to have an idea on what you're actually wanting to do before you get started. Otherwise, you might switch up in the middle of what you're doing, and it's just going to end up taking more time to be done with your goals. Things to think about is what country you might want to be in, or if there's multiple countries, which country you want to put all the new clubs into. You might want to think about the amount of teams in a certain league, the amount of leagues you want, how far up and or down the pyramid you want to go with this. I mean, the options are pretty extensive there. You also need to consider cup competitions. That's something that you'll need to think about because you have a realistic football calendar that you have to fit in. You don't want things to be too short, and you don't want the season to be too long. You don't want teams not doing anything. You don't want them being extremely weighed down by the amount of games they have to play. Next, you'll definitely want to go into your files, and if you don't have it, you'll need to make sure you get the Football Manager 2024 editor, obviously, and then you simply click Launch. Once the editor loads in, you'll get to this screen, and this basically just is the different updates that are on the current Football Manager game. The 24.3 update is the most recent, so we're going to load that in. Alright, when making a new league, the first thing you're going to want to do is go up to Rules, and you are going to add Nation Rules. Once you click to add Nation Rules, you'll go to this screen, and you'll be able to choose between current nations, which are nations that are currently in the game. You'll be able to edit those nations there, or you can simply add leagues below. What we're actually doing is we're going to go to other nations. So these are countries that don't currently exist in the database. You get to, if you click on one of these, you can go in and edit the leagues to make them active in the game. So as you can see here, it does prompt you if you want to create new competitions and rules or add lower divisions and cups to the existing structure. Obviously, we are going to be creating a new league structure based off of San Marino. This section is actually pretty important. I usually leave it at this set date of range for the days. You can change when the season actually updates as well as when the season starts. So if you are in a Nordic country, for example, you can change the start date to be in the spring and for the season to end in the fall. But this is how you would change that. So two very important things to get used to. The nation rules are going to be on a tab here under San Marino, but there's also going to be quite a bit of editing done in the database section. So you might have to switch back and forth between these, but I'll show you exactly the steps I take. The very first thing you need to do when you start editing a nation is go to the competition screen. If you're making a Super League and you want to get rid of the continental competitions, say for example my European Super League, you would want to delete all UEFA competitions. This is where you would do it, and they would be out of the game. For this database, I'm actually not going to be deleting the Champions League, but I am going to be going to San Marino. So all you have to do is search for a nation by clicking Add Condition here. Click on San Marino, and we have our competitions that we want to use for the database. The standard league we're going to use, we're just going to leave it the same. We're not going to make a new one. We are going to be going into the Campeonato Sammarinense de Calcio. That was good. Now let's say I did want to add my own custom league. All I would have to do is come down to this add button at the bottom, click add. It takes you to the league creator. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. All you have to do is name it. Soccer scenarios. Whoa, I can't spell. Scenarios. Loves you. Subscribe, please. And then you can put a 3-letter name. Let's just say, let's say fun. It's fun. You also want to change some of the colors. I usually just go white. But you can kind of figure out what you want to do there. That'll change the background once you're actually in the game. Reputation. You can change to 200. That would be the best in the world. You can go to 1. If you are trying to make a top division, you need to make sure you select type. Competition level will be 1 for the top division. Obviously, as you go down, the second division would be 2, the third division would be 3, and so on. If you do want to make the specific competition you're working on a cup, you would go and select that. And then in the nation rules, you'll end up being able to divide all the teams in the nation's leagues into the cups. The first screen you're going to get to is the details screen, as you can see here. Now, when you look at the details, and I'm going to slide this over for a second and scroll down and show you different things you may need to look at. You'll want to make sure the division, if it is your top division, is labeled as such. We, of course, are only going to have one division, so the competition level is going to be 1. Let's say, for example, you are editing in England. The championship will be level 2, League 1 will be level 3, and you do need to list that here. There's quite a few things you can edit here, so you can kind of play around with different things such as the pitch length, as well as if you want to have VAR or not, and goal line technology. Okay, outside of the detail screen, the other important one to visit here is the team section. Here, you want to double check that all the teams you want in a certain league are listed under that specific league. A team can't be put into 2 separate leagues, because then your game will not work. So you have to keep track. You have to keep track. If you want to add a team to a league, you have to go to the bottom right and click add. This way, if you really want to, you can move Manchester City into the league. You can move Juventus. You can scroll down. You can even search for a specific team name if you really want to be able to find them. However, again, if you move a team, say from the Premier League to the San Marino League, the English Premier League will not be playable. Okay? Alright, once you have your competition set how you want with the teams in the correct place, it's time to move to actually creating the leagues in the nation rules. The first thing you're going to want to do whenever you are creating a new nation is go ahead and handle the general rules. So I usually set a transfer window that's going to take place over the course of the summer. And you can add a winter transfer window as well. I do notice that it doesn't usually line up perfectly, but as long as you include this, there won't be any transfers going on all year. If you don't include a transfer window, of course, teams will just make transfers throughout the entire season, which is pretty weird and annoying if you do forget to do that. The next big section is discipline rules, which is right under transfer rules. You'll definitely want to fix these because players will get to the point where they are getting a yellow card and being held out every single time they get a yellow. I usually go down to 5, 10, 15, and I just leave the fixed number of red cards per game at 1. But you can technically take players out every time they get a red card for a whole season, which is actually a really good video idea. This is an optional thing to add, but it's something that I've started doing. What you want to do is you want to click down on the transfer rules. I usually keep everything that's in the base transfer rules section the same, but you do want to go to loan rules, and I'm going to have to scroll over and show you. There's a big enabled box over here that you're going to want to check. Once you check that, the loan rules become available, and you want to click add. And what I usually do is click on the rule, and the options will come up at the bottom. And I probably need to move my face. Give me 5 seconds. But what you're going to want to do is change division rule to maximum players rule. I usually go with 5. You can change that to 3. You can change it to 100, apparently. Whatever you want to do there. But that kind of limits how many players can be going in and out on load. Alright, next it is time to actually start using the editor to build the league. So divisions is going to be your main leagues that go throughout the year. Think of the Premier League. What you want to do, since you have already placed all your teams into the correct league and the leagues are all listed at the correct level, all you have to do is click single division. And then you should be able to see your divisions that you placed with teams here. And it will automatically tell you there's 16 teams in the Campeonato Sammarinense. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong again. Here you want to set how many rounds. So average leagues have a home and away. So you set that at 2. Substitution rules, you can pick what you want. I do base 5 from 12. If you did want to have some relegation places, you put them here. And you can also set the match day. And I will show you how to make it so there are different matches on different days, so not every team plays at once. So now that the Campeonato Sanmarinense de Calcio is in the game, you can actually go into it and look at some more details, which we are going to do now. On the General tab, you can change a few things. The most important things, in my opinion, are the league sorting rules, and I usually do these for every single time. I base the potential ties off of goal difference, and then I scroll down to matches between teams, and then after that the next tiebreaker will be games won, and then the last I always do is goals for. And now another big one that you want to look at is potentially doing television money per club. I'm going to scroll again. Television money per club, especially if you're doing bigger clubs or bigger leagues, you want to make sure you give them some type of television money. Excuse my coffee drinking. There's also a relegation parachute payment. If you don't know what those are, basically if a team drops from the first division, the relegation parachute payments help with stabilizing the club. This page would also be very important if you were going to have a relegation promotion going on. Let's say the second division, you wanted to promote 3 teams. You would need to make sure that you have 3 teams relegated from this division. If you don't do that, it will get mad at you and it will not let you continue and save the database. You have to have it organized. The next section is the dates page, and this one's pretty important. I usually don't change the dates. If you have a playoff system, you actually need to try and have the league stage, as what you're listing here, end earlier. So say I had a 16-team playoff at the end of the season. I really want the playoff to end in May. What I would have to do is I need to set the last day of the league date at, say, April 6th. And then after that, the first round of the playoffs will be drawn. They'll play on the 13th. Next round would be the week of the next week here of the 20th, and the 27th, and so on. But you do need to think about that if you are placing playoffs, which I realize I'm kind of jumping the gun here because I haven't shown you how to add playoffs. It's coming. But TV dates is where you are going to be able to add different kickoffs. So what you want to do is you definitely want to, let's say we're going to add twice because the original match day is going to be Saturday at 15 o'clock. So what you want to do, if you want to have different kickoff times, is you want to come down here. They're automatically going to have the Saturdays listed. So we're going to want to have one game on Friday, and we're going to have 2 games on Sunday. The Friday night game is going to take place at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to show myself. Is that 19? I'm probably wrong. No, that is 7 o'clock with the 24-hour clock. So there you go. And let's say we want the Sunday game to 2. Okay, so you put that there. The number of matches that's going to pull from that Saturday is set here. So right now we have it set at 1, which I think is fine. Let's say we want to have 2 kick off on Sunday, though. It will pull 2 games from there. You can mess everything up. There are 16 total teams, so if you say you want to pull all 8 matches here, it will recognize this first one, and it will pull all 8 matches to Friday, and you will have none on Saturday and none on Sunday. So, just, again, you have to be organized and kind of know what you're doing. Alright, the next one is the prize money phase, which I'm going to scroll over again so you can see. You can add prize money. This is what I normally try and do. For this specific scenario that we're going to be doing, I'm going to add 5 million every time there is a gameplay. And that's what this means. So every time a team plays a game, they are going to get 5 million pounds. If you wanted to specifically give specific teams more money, you can come down here. The max you can give is 100 million euros at once. And then if I scroll over, you'll see the position in the league table that earns that. Next is the match rules screen. Here you can edit the substitution rules if you want. There's also some other match rules you can add in, which, to be honest with you, I just don't really bother with this, but it's there if you want to play with it. Alright, the next section that you would want to click on is the playoff section. Now, again, I said I was going to go over this, but there is some things you need to think about depending on how you are structuring your league. The championship playoff, this is simple. This is if, for example, MLS has their championship playoff. The winning team doesn't necessarily get promoted to the upper league, but you do win the cup after the course of the season. Again, as a reminder, on the dates tab, you would need to leave space for the playoff to be completed before the end of the nation's date, end of season. I hope that makes sense. So the promotion and relegation playoff need to be in your head if you're trying to do them. A promotion playoff you can set to go up from a lower league to an upper league. You would need to select number of teams promoted from the playoff is 1. Number of teams in playoff, you need to obviously have at least 2. Relegation playoff is obviously similar to the promotion playoff, but you can also select number of teams relegated from the playoff, number of teams from the specific division that are in the playoff to go down. So you would think about the Bundesliga here. The 17th and 18th team automatically go down, whereas the 16th team would qualify for the relegation playoff. It's not something you want to qualify for, but that's how you would put that kind of system into the game. You would use it here. You would say number of teams from this division in playoff. It would be 1. And then number of teams from the lower division that are trying to come up would be 1, for example. You can change that as you want. And obviously on all these playoffs, you can change the number of legs as well as the match rules when it comes to extra time. This is very important in terms of relegation and promotional playoffs. I do want you to consider that the promotion playoff spots will not be listed on these. These promotion and relegation places on the general tab for each league is only automatic promotion and relegation. Anything that goes up and down from a promotion and relegation playoff perspective is separately listed. So for example, if I can explain it well, say you have the championship, you have 1 team coming up from the playoff, you need to have the Premier League listed as 3 automatic relegations. However, the championship will only have 2 listed under this section of promotion places. And then that promotion playoff in the screens that I just showed you would need to be listed there, and that would provide the 3rd team going up. But it can't be listed in the same spot. Again, these are only automatic spots on this page. Next, I'm going to show you how to add cups, and we are simply going to add an FA Cup style tournament here. We're going to use the Coppa Titano, and we're going to select all our teams, and there was 16 teams, I believe. 16 teams there. And then we just wanted to be a simple knockout tournament. And let's see, we're going to do extra time and penalties. And subs, we're going to go 5 from 12. And just so you can see the full screen, we're going to have our match day on Saturday, and we will finish. Now that the cup's in there, you would want to scroll over again. Lots of moving back and forth, but I hope it is helpful. Once the cups have a drop-down menu, then you want to go to Copa Titano. Here you can edit some of the different rules here. So you can choose what kind of cup it's going to be. You can technically make a group stage here. It's a little more complicated than just doing knockout rounds. Usually what I do for a tournament like this, I just do knockout rounds. But we've got our listed number of teams at 16. This matters, seeded by reputation if you have multiple leagues. I usually click that because it kind of represents how a multitude of countries do it. So Premier League teams, for example, won't join until the 3rd round. This is the easiest way to simulate that. On the next section, it is the Cup Rounds section. You can set how many teams are added and how many matches total are going to be in each round. So if you have multiple leagues, you can add the leagues at different rounds, kind of like what I was just saying with the Premier League. But that is how you would do that. Now, you will want to potentially give prize money. All you have to do per round, let's say for the first round I want to give 5 million. That's a lot for this San Marino league, but this would give 5 million each to the winner and the loser, and then you can just add general appearance money as well. All right, the last section I'm going to show you guys is the reserves youth section. All you have to do if you want to have some semblance of youth reserve teams, you just click first reserve youth team here. You can leave it as reserves, or you can change it to U23s, U21s, however you want the league to operate. I am going to go with U23s, and then for my secondary teams, I'm going to go with U18s. And we can just use the main team divisions, and they'll basically operate just like the regular league here. Alright, this is going to be the moment of truth for me that will show if I know what I'm doing or not. Now that everything is set in the database how I want it to be, all I have to do is scroll up to rules, and then to make this officially playable, you have to test the league rules. And I'm scared because usually I've missed something. And I did. So the team should not be relegated from Campeonato Seminaris as there is no division below it. Fair enough. So it's actually helpful to test the rule every now and then while you are building, just to make sure you are on the right track. So as an example, I showed you guys that you can set automatic relegation places, and I forgot to change it back. We do that, and let's see if it now works. Thank you. All right, since we got the happy message that everything is as it should be, if you want to save the database to be able to use, I have a lot, as you can see. You want to just come here and name it, and we're going to call it San Marino but Rich. And you can publish the Steam. I'm going to scroll over so you can see this. You can publish the Steam. I'm actually not going to do that right now, but that is a way to share the item to your Steam. You can also press hidden here, and it can be uploaded, and you can just access it on a different device if that's how you want to do it, or simply if you want to save it to your computer and it'll automatically save into your editor folder, you just click save, and it's saved. We're doing good. Alright, next you're going to want to load into the game, and we should be able to get into the database if everything goes to plan. Shout out to the Tato skin. It is my favorite. It's just clean, but you do want to just go ahead and click on start a new game, go to career, and this is where you should be able to select your database that you want to use. Our FIFA Super League FM update. San Marino but Rich is right there. So let's just remove everything. And then San Marino but Rich. Simple. We're just going to go with original. Make sure nothing weird goes on. And we should be able to see. These are all the leagues that the game wants to pick for me. We should be able to see and add lovely San Marino. We're just going to confirm that. And just for sake of speed, we're going to load in to our Campionato Sammarinese di Calcio. And there you have it. The league is available for us to play. All you have to do is choose a team. Let's say we want to be San Marino Academy. And just go through, confirm, and you can start your adventure in Football Manager with your database. I hope that was extremely helpful. I know the editor can be a little hard to learn, but it takes a little bit of playing around with it. But with this step-by-step tutorial, it should be pretty easy to do any kind of simple league that you'd want to do. I'll be honest, that was all in the basic rules. I don't touch advanced rules. I'm too scared of them. But anyway, if you're like me and you don't really care about everything being as detailed as possible and you just want to play a video game and design it how you want it to be, here's your video to help you do that. If this did help you, I would appreciate you leaving a like, maybe even subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you around soon.